Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Tatva Bodha series of Body Mind Intellect session. Happy New Year to all, first of all. And in this January month of Tatva Bodha series, we are starting on a chapter, Causal Body. So, in this chapter, we will try to cover the topics the law of nature, which defines the course of life, understanding the causal body, and theory of rebirth. So, on this note, I would request Anurag Bhaiya to take it over and start the session with a prayer. Thank you.
Thank you, Prashantji, and a very warm welcome for everyone in this January edition of the BMI program of Tatva Bodha. Today we are in the 12th edition, so we have completed 1 year of our journey here. And I wish everyone a very happy new year. I hope the new year has started with a lot of brightness, light, peace for everyone. Let us start the today's edition with the prayer. Om Sahanavavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejas Vinavadhitamastu Ma Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Once again, very warm welcome. So in the last 11 editions, we have spoken more about the two aspects, the gross aspects of the creation, that is the gross body, and the subtle aspect, which is the subtle body. Now we are going into much deeper today. The third aspect, the very, very subtle or the ultra subtle aspect, you can call it. It is the causal body. And Prashantji has already enumerated the topics that we are going to discuss under this step. So we see the creation around us. We are also part of this creation. Each one of us, living, non-living, everybody is part of this creation. Every creation of nature has a cause, and every creation has a purpose behind the existence. Whether it is a human being like us, or whether it is like a stone, which may be there lying in your garden, everything has a cause of its creation, and everything has a purpose behind it, why it has been created, behind the existence. There is nothing which is causeless or purposeless that is created in this nature which we see around us. There is nothing which is purposeless or causeless. So we can't reject anything as a waste by the nature, because nature creates everything by design. Nothing is coincidental or accidental also. Everything has a cause and purpose. That means it is not an accident, or it is not a coincidence. Miracle, coincidence, accident, it is all the limitation of our knowledge. And that's why we use these terminologies. But when we look from the highest point of wholesomeness, from the nature's point of view, being one with the nature, there is no coincidence, there is no miracle, and there is no accident. Everything is going under a very, very meticulous plan. Everything. If the sun is rising, There is a cause behind it. When the flowers are blossoming, there is a cause behind it. A seed becomes a sapling becomes a tree. There is a cause behind that progression of life. Birth, death, everything has a cause behind it. This entire life, every action that we perform, every breath we take has a cause behind it. So this is something we need to understand. There is a cause, there is an objective, there is a reason, there is a purpose for everything. So this cause and effect is the base law of the nature. This life is governed by that. And there are other laws also of the nature that are governing the life as such. We have spoken about this in brief in our initial talks when we spoke about the destiny, the prarabdha, and the law of karma, which is the purushartha or the free will. They heavily influence these laws together, our day-to-day life. So the law of cause and effect is the law which is running in the foundation. And it is going on as we talked about cause. Every effect has a cause behind it. And then every effect becomes a cause for something which is going to come out of as an effect. So this cycle is continuing. So that is the base law on which these other two laws are also operating, the law of destiny and the law of karma. So it is essential before we understand the causal body, because we are talking about causal body, cause, to understand these laws again. So that's why I have brought it again into the perspective today. So law of destiny, as you see, there is a blue line in the middle of the arrow, top arrow. That blue line is the timeline. Okay, timeline which is running. Infinite time. Time is unity. It is just running like that. Second by second, it is going on. Now there is a point today, as we are speaking today, that is the dotted vertical line you see. That is the present moment or the now part of it at any point. So anything before that is the past, and now anything after that present will be the future. So it's a very simple thing. So destiny is the past. It is the effect of what we have done in the past. So destiny has already manifested, it has taken place, and it is in front of us. What we are today is the where we are today. We can't change the past. The past is non-existent now. But we today are the effect of the past. The cause lies in the past. If we have entertained positive thoughts, positive emotions, positive actions, our personality today will be in a much better shape, much positive shape. The effect will be much positive today. And when I talk about the past, it is not restricted to this life. This timeline is going infinitely on both sides. So whenever we have taken the birth, whatever actions in each of the birth, whatever we have done, it is a resultant, accumulated, cumulative effect is what we see today. And we will talk about the theory of rebirth also towards the end of this chapter. So that is the destiny. We can't change the destiny. The house we have, what we are eating today, what we are earning today, what convenience or the comforts we are having today is all our destiny, result of the previous actions we have taken. But tomorrow, what will happen? It is still uncertain. Our destiny, our past will definitely define our future. And that's where the law of karma steps in. The law of karma says, takes both the past, present, and the future into account. Law of destiny is taking only the past and the present into the account. It is not something which does about something to do about the future. So law of destiny plus future is the law of karma. So law of karma means the future is still in our hands. We can still decide what we want to be today, which path we can go, where we can take our destiny. That is why it is said that the destiny lies in your hands. You are the master of your destiny. You are the creator of your destiny. It's very unfortunate that due to ignorance, people say that today my destiny is because of God or something, or by luck, kismat, fortune. We use those kind of things. That's because of ignorance, because we don't understand how these laws are operating subtly, impeccably, so meticulously, and shaping our life, whatever it is. The process of evolution, whatever we have gone, or process of devolution, it is all governed by this law of destiny and the law of karma. So destiny definitely has an effect on our future. It will have its effect. But the humans have got the gift of free will also. Free will, which is independent of the destiny which is done. So destiny is one force which is acting on our life. But free will is the another force which will be acting on our life, and the resultant force will keep on changing. Otherwise, the question will come that if a person who has done bad karmas, bad actions in the past, his personality will continue to devolve. So if destiny is controlling alone, then that person will always be going down. There will be no scope for that person to go up. But there are many examples we read in our scriptures or in the history where a totally negative person has transformed into a positive person, and the other way around also, where a positive person has devolved the personality and gone on a strayed on a wrong path. So that's where the free will, the second force, comes into the picture. Now the strength of this force, these two forces will determine. If the strength of your free will is higher than or greater than the strength of the destiny, then the resultant effect will be what your purushartha will start showing in the results, like that. But if the strength of the purushartha is lesser than what you have done in the past, then of course your destiny will be governing the life. Your purusharthas will not yield the results in the way you are expecting it. So if you are doing anything, any efforts, if you are not deriving proper result, that means that somewhere you are lacking that commitment, or you are lacking that strength in your free will, your willpower, whatever. That's why the results are not coming, or maybe the process is very, 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 very slow. So destiny, if we have done good things in the past, it will act as a lubricant. It will accelerate the transformation on the free will if the past karmas have been good. But if the past karmas are not good, they are more negative in the nature, the resultant, I am telling you, it's not like karma 1 plus karma 2 plus karma infinite, whatever we have done, if the summation of it is negative, then it will act as a friction. It will give a resistance in our progress. So lubrication or resistance, it depends on what we have done in the past. It will help. But definitely free will is independent, and it will, the strength of it will decide, like that. You can take an example to understand this. A simple example of we have escalators now these days, right? You go to the malls or metro stations, or you will find the escalators. The escalators are moving at a constant speed for everyone. There are 10 people standing, an escalator is moving. If everybody just stands on the escalator on the particular step, everybody will reach to the top in the same amount of time. You will reach in the same amount of time. That means you are just not doing any effort on top of it. The escalator itself is taking you there where it has to. But if you make some effort and start climbing while the escalator is moving, you are also climbing. So you will reach faster. You want. So now apply this to this laws. Escalator is the destiny, law of destiny, which is moving at its own pace. And the free will is the effort you are making on top of it.
Anuraksha, can I have a question?
So question next week. Next week. Today only lecture, please. That's the
Okay, sir.
format. So this is how the laws are there. So now we will move to the next after understanding these. So we have been talking about everything has a cause. So then when we go back, there will be a root cause of everything, every creation. There has to be something from where this entire creation has started. So scriptures have recorded this from the sages of experience when they say that the Brahma, Eko Brahma Dvitiyo Nasti, what it says, there is only one Brahma, there is only one truth, there is only one thing which is the cause for all things, the root cause. There is one without a second, there is no second to it. That's the base. That is what Vedanta says. These are the mentions in the scriptures. Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, it is there. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also you will find in different forms. So Brahm is the only thing without a cause, but it is the cause of all. The substratum which is there, due to which this entire process of creation is happening. This world is there. If there is no cause, there won't be any world. This cause and effect creates the world around us. And the base cause of it is the substratum of it, which is the Atma, the Chetana, the Brahm. That's how it is called as. And this is the one which is without a second. That means there is no cause to it. It is the causeless. It is the eternal. It has no birth and no death. It is the causeless entity which is there. Rest everything is the projection or the reflection of it, what we see. Like sun is there, you put a place of bucket of water, you will see the reflection of sun in it. You place 100 buckets of water, every bucket you will see the reflection of the sun. So there is one, but it is reflecting into many. So that's where this Ekoham Bahusyam Prajayati, that's what the scriptures again say, that how these things become one, became a many, because of the free will or the willpower. The first vibration happened, the first desire. This desire creates the world, what we see around us. This world is nothing but it is a projection. The one has expanded into many. So if you say the number, take a number, 5 is more or a 1 is more. If a teacher asks or somebody asks you, 5 is more or 1 is more. So naturally the answer is 5 is more and the 1 is less. But look it from the different perspective. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 has only made up the 5. So it is 1 everywhere. So one has expanded, projected into many, and that's how it is showing it as a 5. But at the end bottom of it, it is only 1 everywhere. So that's how the one expands into many, and this is the projection of the Brahm that is seen everywhere. So that is the cause of it. So when one expands into many, that is what is referred to as the process of manifestation, and the matter comes into the picture. Matter is the reflection or the projection of the consciousness. Consciousness is the cause, and this matter is the effect. And this matter, then if you just take the matter alone, leave the consciousness behind, then there is a cause and effect going on into that. So there will be 3 parts of the matter: causal part of the matter, and then the subtle part of the matter, and then the gross. That's the manifestation of the matter. Like you have a seed, seed is the cause, but seed is invisible. Seed is under the ground. Now, just by looking at the ground, you don't know what will come out of it. The farmer will know, the person who has put the seed, but leave aside. As a third person, if I am looking, I don't know what will come out of it. So seed is like a mass of, is like a black box. I don't know what will come out of this black box. When the seed sprouts, the subtle body comes into the picture, which is still under the ground, which cannot be seen. And then this subtle body, when it penetrates the earth, layers of the earth, turns into a sapling, then you start to identify what is this seed coming out. So the gross body, subtle body, and the causal body relation is like that. These are the layers of the matter which we are referring to now. So further expanding to it, on the leftmost side, you see the Brahma, the Atma, Chetana, consciousness, which is the causeless entity. Then in the process of this whole creation, you see the 3 gunas are there, the 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. When these 3 gunas define the basic nature of the creation, when they are in the equilibrium or when they are in the samavastha, some stage means equilibrium stage, silent stage, then that is the Prakruti or the base nature, the basic nature. They form the basic nature of the creation. So what is your basic nature? It is defined by the 3 gunas which were there. Now, when there is a activation in these 3 gunas, when there is a differential in these 3 gunas changes, in the process of manifestation, the subtle body is formed. The Mahat, the intellect element, is the first one that manifests out of it. So that's where the subtle body, your thoughts, feelings, emotions, this is all forming the subtle body, which we have already discussed. The subtle prana, which is there, the inner instruments of man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar, mind, intellect, chitta, ego, they form the inner instruments, and we will again touch upon these when we talk about the rebirth theory. The 5 senses which are there, the 5 subtle elements, the tanmatras, sound, touch, form, which is there, they form the subtle body. And then finally the gross, the 5 gross elements: fire, air, earth, space, water. And then the gross prana, what we refer to as the oxygen, and the gross part of the prana. We talked about that. Pranamaya kosha has a gross layer and the subtle layer. So the gross part of that prana, the organs of action, karmendriya, the sense organs, what we have, they all form the gross body. Actions and behavior, through which we express in the form of actions and behavior. That is how the causal body, subtle body, gross body is there. In the terms of kosha, if we have to understand this, so there are panch kosha. So the causal body is the anandamaya kosha, the blissful sheath which is there. Blissful sheath is there is nothingness over there. It is beyond the thought. It is beyond the emotions. It is the layer which is beyond the thought. A thought cannot comprehend that cause or the bliss. It, if we talk in terms of the three states of the consciousness, the wakeful state of the consciousness, the dream state of the consciousness, and the deep sleep state of the consciousness, the causal body is associated or relates to the deep sleep state of the consciousness. Now just apply this to our physical sleep patterns. When we are awake, like we are now awake, we are in the awakened state. The consciousness is working on the gross body, and we are doing all the talk, walk. We know who we are. We identify ourselves with our name and our nationality, whatever it is. But when we are sleeping and when we are dreaming, at that point, consciousness is not working on the gross body. It is working on our subtle body. Subtle body is active. The subtle world is active. And all the memories and the experiences is creating a new world in front of us. That is the dream state of the consciousness. Now, there is a period during the sleep where you are not having dreams also. You are sleeping but not dreaming. Okay, that's the time when you say, I'm in a very sound sleep. I had a very sound sleep. And that period is a very, very small period. Very short period, you get that. And when you wake up after that, you feel really energetic, but you recognize that you were in a sound sleep. Even after coming to the waking state, you have this remembrance that you were in some deep sleep state. That means some part of you was active over there. That is means you were there when you were sleeping, and you are able to recall that you had a sound sleep. So which part of you, I, was there who was experiencing that deep sleep? But there was a darkness. There was nothingness over there. There was no experience you were getting into that. It's only after coming to the waking state, you are realizing that you had a very good sleep, you had a very good experience. But during that state, you were not having any experience. It was a total dark thing. That dark means the solid ignorance, solid marks of ignorance, avidya, and it was there. I think that is why they say that ignorance is the bliss. So in the bliss sheath, you are in the complete dark ignorance. But sometimes we mistake that state as the state of reality. We think that that is the Anand or the eternal thing. I have experienced Atma, or I have experienced Brahma. I have experienced the self-realization. No, you are still into the confinedness of the Panch Kosha. That is the fifth Kosha. The blissful sheath is what we are talking about. It's still there. That is the causal body. Because everything is dormant in the causal body. There is no action happening there. Everything is in a dormant state. So it is like a black box. From this dormant state, when things become active, they are experienced in the subtle body and then into the gross body. But in the causal body, there is no experience which is happening over there. So now we extend this causal body experience, what we have studied, into the aspects of life and death and rebirth, to understand how the theory of rebirth operates there on our life. So two laws which even science, the material science, has also accepted or acknowledged, the scientists have discovered the law of indestructibility of the matter. What it states that the same amount of matter exists before and after the change. None is created or destroyed. That means matter is again changing the form, the mass which was there. So something is not passing into nothing. It is just changing. The states are changing. And birth and death are nothing but the change of the states of the matter, our body, which is there. So our body is changing the states from birth to death, and then again death to birth. Like that, it is keep on changing the states. As per this law, nothing is finishing like that. Similarly, the same law acts on the energy also, law of conservation of energy. It states that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, only converted from one form of energy to the another. So the energy which is there inside you, it is converted. After the death, what happens? The physical body remains there. Something moves out of the physical body. Now it cannot be Atma. It cannot be consciousness, because consciousness is all pervading. It is everywhere. So something which is everywhere, how can it move? You can move only from A to B when on B you are not there. Then the thing can move from A to B. But something which is at A and something which is at B, then how can it move? That means Atma is not moving anywhere. Your physical body is also not moving anywhere. After the death, if you are lying on the bed, the person dies, body remains there. It undergoes the decomposition and the decay over there. So it is also changing. Physical body is also changing into something else. It is not becoming zero. Whether you cremate it by burning or whether you cremate it by through fire, it will never finish. The physical body also never finish. Some part of it will remain. What you then go and disperse into the water, like that. In the form of ashes, it will remain. But something is moving out, that is the prana. The subtle body, which is made of subtle prana and the mind, the desires and everything, and the causal body. The subtle body and the causal body, they move out, and that is what is called as spirits. We call as spirits. There are spirits. Some people speak to the spirits. They call the spirits when they say. It is not that atmas are being called. Atma is there. That single entity Brahm is there, but it is the spirits which are there, which is made up of these subtle bodies which are there. So when the process of creation happens, when the process of birth, the five elements, they come out of each other. Like space is the base element, and from the space element comes the air, and then fire, the water, and the earth. The creation is happening. This is happening in the womb of the mother, where the body is taking place. And during the death, the reverse process is happening, where the earth is rolling back into water, water rolls back into fire. That's how the dematerialization of the matter is taking place. It is changing the state. And both the laws we talked about, there, indestructibility of the matter and conservation of energy, are working over there. Nothing is finishing. It's only the transformation or the change of the state. So this, by reflecting on these laws, something cannot become nothing. And that's where the theory of rebirth then comes, because the causal and the subtle body which are there, they are still there. They may feel again, take the mass, and they may again acquire the physical body. And then the process of materialization will start on them. So first dematerialization happen, and again the materialization will start. They will start gathering the mass and then again reappear. So the causal body is playing a role in we are taking birth again and again. causal and the subtle, these two bodies. And causal mostly because it is where the dormant desires are there. Our life moves on the desires. If there is no desire, there won't be any action. Our life will be stagnated. We are moving in our life. We are making progression in our life. If you have become an engineer today, if you have become a doctor today, and what you will become, it is all because of the desires which are driving force and helping you to achieve or accomplish what you are accomplishing in your lives. So desires in the dormant state, they are called as the vasanas. These vasanas are the ones which is the part of the causal body. Okay, so before understanding going there to the vasanas, let us again recall the antakarana, the inner equipments we spoke about. Our physical body has equipments like eyes, nose, ears. Each of these equipments have their own function. Heart has its own function, lungs has its own function. These are the gross body bahyakarana, outside organs are there, or outside equipments are there, outer equipments. The subtle body has the inner equipments, four equipments. What are these? Mind, whose function is to create dilemmas, confusion, and agitation. That is the nature or the function of the mind. It will always be creating dilemmas. It will be presenting multiple options in front of you. The buddhi, the intellect, its function is to resolve those conflicts and choose the better one, which is there for one to which to pick up. Because this world is of multitude, multi options. So mind will give several options. Like when you go for a shopping and you go for purchasing anything like shoes or saris or something, the shopkeeper will put tens and dozens of things in front of you. Then you have to choose. You have to make a choice. So intellect helps to resolve those dilemmas, those conflict, and choose the one which is better suited for my progress or for my wishes where I want to go. And of course, ego lends the identity to that, whose decision it is, whose dilemma it is, dilemma, my decision. That's where the ego is playing its role. And of course, chitta is there, which is the light of consciousness. So, and we spoke about this entire thing in our subtle body lecture. But I just wanted to bring, because now to understand now this cycle, the vasanas, you see the left side, the vasanas on the top circle, the dormant desires which are there. You don't know what will come out of it. It is just a black box. When the dormant desire from this part gets activated because of your free will or willpower, it becomes an active desire. And in the light of your intellect, you realize that what is your desire now? You say, I feel like having a sweet today. I want to go to a mountain. I have a desire to go to such a such place. Okay, that means your intellect the light of intellect has fallen on that active desire, and now you are realizing that desire is there, which is there in the mind, which is reflecting the mind part of it. So active thoughts, active desires, again, it is in the subtle body. And then it becomes an action on the physical body. The experience, what you have after that, is recorded in your chitta. It is recorded there. Okay, so every action has a impression. It leaves an impression. So that impression become the vasanas. Like on the right hand side, you see a seed grows into a full-blown tree, becomes a fruit, and then again the seed is formed, and that cycle continues from seed to fruit, and then from fruit to seed. Again, this cycle continues. Similarly, vasana is the seed. You become a tree of life, continues like that. And the fruits are in the form of action, or the actions what you perform, the result of that are the fruits. And then it becomes a dormant desire. Sometimes the desires which are there, unfulfilled desire or the dormant desire which have not become active, they will remain over there because they have not got the proper environment to activate. If you take a seed of mango tree and take it into a snowy place, it will not sprout because it hasn't got the proper environment to sprout. So seed is there, but it is not sprouting. Similarly, there are many desires which are not sprouting because the environment is not there. You may be born in a family where that is in the culture where those desires are not finding the conducive environment to sprout or to become active. So they remain dormant. And when in the next birth it goes, they move from one birth to the other birth. And the moment they find the right environment, conducive environment, it is born. It is activated. So because of the vasanas, we take birth. The vasanas, what are there inside, accordingly, the environment will be chosen by the person, and then where those vasanas can be exhausted. So environment means these are my parents I want to born. This is the family I want to take birth. It's not that parents are choosing that. It's the person as a person. We are our vasanas, driven by the vasanas. We are choosing the environment to be born where we can exhaust this vasanas. And this is how the cycle of life continues, cycle of birth and death continues until all the vasanas have been exhausted. If the container has become empty, there is no vasana to come out, then there won't be any desire over there. So let us see how these things work. Like if you say that your first birth, see this as your first birth. In the first birth, you have a C which represents your causal body, S represents the subtle body, and G represents the gross body. Now, when the death happens in the first birth, okay. So when the death happens, the gross body, the subtle body is gone, causal, and that becomes your subtle, and causal becomes the causal part of your birth 2. That is, in fact, C2. You can call it as a C2. C2 is different than the C1. Because C1 plus whatever you have accumulated, which has gone back into your vasanas as an impressions or the sanskaras, C2 has been formed. And now this C2 will become the cause for your second birth. Your environment will change. Okay, the resultant desires and the resultant piece will be different. So if you are born as a singer in C1 in the first birth, but you had a desire to be born as an astronaut, that desire was entertained or whatever, didn't come out because of the environment was not there. It remained in the unconscious. So it will carry on. It will carry on to the next birth. So that is how the resultant desire will be different for each birth. And this process continues like that for the nth birth. Just project this for the nth birth. This goes on Cn, Sn, and Gn. That's how things happen. The process of rebirth is explained by these laws. Now, this cannot be experienced. This can only be a theory which can be understood by the laws of it, but it certainly cannot be experienced by living. Of course, when you, as a spiritual people, as an enlightened people, they say that there is no birth and death. They don't recognize because they have gone beyond it. For them, there is no birth, there is no death because they realize that I am that eternal, I am that causeless entity. So birth and death is not which is in the reality which is happening. But for most people like us who have not experienced that stage, birth and death seems to be the real incidents which are happening. And they disturb us. Birth, we enjoy, we celebrate. Death disturbs us. Death of the relatives or whatever, it disturbs us. Okay. So that is the process of how desires, vasanas, they drive the life cycle, how the cause and effect is working on us and continuously. So I think that brings us to the nearly the end of the chapter. Causal body is unreal also. Like gross and subtle body, causal is also not the real. It is not the truth. That Anandamay Kosha, Ananda bliss sheath, that ignorance, avidya is still there. Still, it has to be transcended. The complete matter has not been transcended in the causal body. It is also a part of the matter, but the matter is dormant over there. So that brings us to the end of this chapter. It was a short chapter. Causal body, nothing much because it is a black box. You can't have too much of theory around it, but you can have a lot of thoughts around it because everything happening in your life, day to day life, causal body is playing a role. Diseases, we have diseases which are born, right? We look for the cause of the disease. A doctor will look for the cause. But if the doctor doesn't find the root cause, the doctor will treat on the symptoms. And if the disease is treated on the symptoms, the root cause will remain over there and it will be a recurring one. The disease will keep on occurring again and again in one form or the other form. Right? So, understanding the root cause, understanding the causal body, understanding the cause of the suffering. Suffering is like a disease. And we look for the, if we don't look for the root cause of the suffering, we will be treating our suffering on the basis of our symptoms. And then we will be blaming, we will be finding people to blame. So we will be misinterpreting the cause and identifying someone as the cause of our suffering. But in reality, that person is not the cause of our suffering. It's only when the deeper thinking emerges, root thinking, we increase our awareness deeper and deeper. We realize that how these laws, what is happening in your life today, the law of destiny and the law of karma, are actually the resulting on the suffering what you are having today. It's not the people around, it's not the God somewhere here, there, who is responsible for your state. God is only an enabler. God is something Atma, we are telling, substratum. It is just the causeless entity, but it has no role to play in the suffering of what we go in our life. Then why to blame God? Why to blame the people around us? So this understanding of causal body will help us understand the causes of suffering, what is happening in your life through these things, and how we can overcome that using our free will, what we need to do, our purushartha, how we can change the course of the life. So with that, let us close the session today. Please reflect upon it, and then we can have the discussion next week, next Sunday. Until then, namaste. Have a nice day. Hari Om. We'll do the Shanti part. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Over to you, Prashantji.
Thank you, Anuragji, and thanks all of you to joining this session. We will meet next Sunday. If you have any doubt, any question, you can write it down or post it in a WhatsApp group so that we will take it ahead during our next group discussion session. So till that time, stay safe and have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.